Long before consumer safes were affordable, standardized, or reliable, households treated security as a matter of routine behavior rather than specialized equipment. Grandparents lived through wars, economic collapses, rationing, displacement, and frequent burglary. In that environment, anything that advertised valuables stored here was considered a liability. Bedroom furniture, especially pieces that blended into daily life, offered concealment without signaling importance. A dresser, bed frame, or wardrobe did not suggest wealth, urgency, or reward. It suggested normalcy. That normalcy was the first and most important layer of protection. What many modern viewers miss is that trust was not placed in the object itself, but in how predictable human behavior could be under stress. Burglars, soldiers, and opportunists followed patterns. Grandparents designed storage around those patterns. Bedroom furniture was part of a closed loop of daily use. Items were accessed morning and night, touched constantly, and rearranged without ceremony. This meant valuables could be hidden, checked, and rotated without drawing attention. A safe, even a small one, changed behavior. It required keys, combinations, deliberate moments of access, and often secrecy from others in the household. That secrecy itself created risk. During the early 20th century, especially between the 1910s and 1950s, many homes had multiple generations living under one roof. Furniture allowed discreet personal storage without creating curiosity. A false bottom in a drawer or a hollowed bedpost did not require explanation. It was just furniture being furniture. This constant interaction made it easy to notice tampering immediately, something safes often failed to do if they were hidden away and checked in frequently. Early safes were not the hardened, fire-rated devices people assume today. Most of them were just thin metal boxes, often poorly anchored, and honestly, easily carried off. But, more importantly, they broadcasted intent. A visible safe told anyone entering the space that something worth stealing existed and that time spent breaking in would be rewarded. Grandparents understood that theft was often opportunistic. A thief rarely entered with time, tools, or certainty. They came in with speed and expectation. Bedroom furniture worked because it contradicted those expectations. No one dismantled a bed frame or emptied a dresser unless they believed something specific was there. Safes created belief. Furniture dissolved it. Bedroom layouts followed predictable cultural norms. The bed dominated the space, dressers lined the walls, wardrobes stood where they always had. Grandparents exploited this predictability by hiding items where attention naturally dropped. Lower drawers were rarely searched thoroughly. Headboards were assumed solid. Mattress supports were ignored entirely. Back in wartime Europe and during the Great Depression, folks would hide documents, ration cards, currency, and even jewelry inside slats, behind drawer runners, and beneath fabric linings. These clever spots, well, they required a real understanding of how things were built, not just brute force. That was important since most intruders just didn't have the time to go poking around looking for signs of craftsmanship. Now, a practical modern application of this idea is, modifying furniture you already use every day. For example, a removable drawer back held in place with wooden pegs instead of screws can give quick access without any visible change. Or, a hollow headboard with a fabric backing can store flat items without messing with the weight or how it looks. The main thing is, the furniture's got to keep working just like it always has. Grandparents, well, they cared more about access than absolute security. Valuables weren't just locked away and forgotten. They were part of a plan, just in case. Sometimes you might need cash in a hurry, or maybe documents got to be moved quick. Jewelry could be traded or sold if times got tough. Bedroom furniture made it possible to grab what you needed fast without any noise, light, or tools. Safes often failed in emergencies because, well, keys were lost, combinations forgotten, or sometimes access just got delayed. But furniture storage, it worked even when folks were under stress. A person could reach under a bed or into a drawer half asleep in the dark without alerting anyone nearby, and that really mattered during raids, evacuations, or sudden inspections. Modern survivalists, they can take a lesson here by avoiding storage systems that require technology, codes, or too much precision. If you can't get to it in seconds, under pressure, then it's just not resilient. Furniture-based concealment, it favors muscle memory over mechanisms, and that's a big advantage. Now, contrary to a lot of modern advice, many grandparents actually shared hiding knowledge with their spouses or trusted family members. This cut down on single-point failure. If one person was absent, detained, or, incapacitated, the system still worked. Furniture made this possible because you didn't have to mess with transferring keys or codes. You just showed someone how the drawer lifted or where the panel slid, plain and simple. Safes centralized risk. Furniture distributed it. That distribution made households more adaptable. In survival terms, adaptability consistently outperformed strength. The lesson is not to abandon safes entirely, but to stop treating them as the primary solution. Real security comes from blending storage into lived environments. Furniture remains one of the few systems that can hide, protect, and provide access without advertising intent. For modern use, focus on items that already belong in bedrooms. Beds, nightstands, wardrobes, and dressers are ideal because they are expected, touched daily, and rarely scrutinized. Modify subtly, never visibly. Avoid metal, magnets, or locks that introduce sound or suspicion. Use wood, fabric, gravity, and friction, the same materials grandparents trusted because they failed quietly. This approach was not romantic or sentimental. It was learned through loss, raids, theft, and survival. Bedroom furniture earned trust because it worked repeatedly across decades of instability. It did not promise protection. It avoided attention. That distinction matters. Survivors do not seek invincibility, they seek invisibility. If this breakdown gave you something new to think about, subscribe to Battlefield of Survival for grounded, practical history that still applies today. Share this with anyone serious about historical survival methods, and keep this knowledge alive by using it, not just remembering it.